So good morning and welcome to another UC Today webinar. My name's Patrick Watson and I'm joined by, very kindly, Vijay from 8x8. Vijay, how are you doing this morning? It's afternoon, evening time for you though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in India, so I'm speaking from India. So thanks, Patrick. It's wonderful to join you and talk about this topic. Thanks for having me over.
Well, no problem at all. And it's a really interesting topic, and it's how to make your business ready for artificial intelligence. And Vijay, I wanted to start this. There's a lot of talk in the industry about AI generally, but from your experience at 8x8, do organizations really understand how to use it within their businesses?
Yeah, so the key thing here is for businesses to be able to understand how to use AI to solve their problems rather than trying to figure out what to build where they can use AI. So how do they go about doing that? So the key thing is that AI needs a purpose for these enterprises, and that purpose needs to be practical and it needs to be useful. We find that companies using communication and collaboration systems deal with both small bounded problems as well as large unbounded problems. And we also find that companies are able to operate pretty effectively in the bounded space, in the predictable space. So the purpose of AI, that the purpose that it can serve, is in managing this unpredictability for these businesses. But many of these problems are pretty tough to solve and require a lot of research and use of different kinds of technologies. But that's where we are going to invest and apply our expertise to help companies manage that unpredictability through our AI capabilities and services. Now, why should we manage this unpredictability, one might ask? And so Gartner did a survey and found that 63% of companies have an explicit mandate to deliver a differentiated experience or a customer experience, but 70% are struggling to deliver it. Also, Gartner mentions that only about 4% of CIOs around the world say that they have AI systems in production. So we wanted to find out why, and we dug a little bit deeper, and we found that 78% of these companies feel that AI would actually impact applications in the collaboration space over the next couple of years. But 63% felt that it won't really impact customer experience, the area that they actually have the mandate in. And why is that? And the reason is because, one, they are so busy and focused in managing the day-to-day activities of their contact centers or their enterprises. And the second is that they feel that many of these technologies are still in the inflated expectation stage.
So effectively, from the research that you've done and the industry analysis that you've done, they think that artificial intelligence might impact certain areas of the business, but it's not really going to transform the customer experience end. That's the area that they're really targeting.
Yeah, so there is a way to do that though. So the way we at 8x8 are managing this for our customers is by bounding these problems into achievable ones that have sufficient and immediate benefits. So the question that I ask myself is like, what is a direct application to communications? Where do you start? What is a problem that we can solve which will result in immediate ROI? What is a problem that is important enough to solve and can be solved by AI? So I'll give you an example of one of our customers. It's a heating systems provider. And even though they have a large number of problems to solve, both big and small, for example, being able to predict when calls come, being able to have much more deeper conversational interfaces in the AI space and all, they also have sufficient number of smaller problems which give immediate tangible benefits, such as being able to answer questions like, when is my service engineer going to arrive? And these sort of questions and answer kind of capabilities can result in productivity improvement in their contact centers by up to 30%. So, and these are not the only ones. Some of the other types of areas that we see where we can have these sort of bounded problems which provide those immediate benefits and are tangible enough are in the case of virtual agent for call deflection, agent assistance to resolve the issue fast and reduce the overall call handling time and be able to reach all the waiting callers quickly, finding expertise across your enterprise immediately rather than having to have the caller call back multiple times or have them go to different people, being able to reach out to that expertise, gather that, and resolve multiple issues on the same call with the agent being the face of the company. We are also able to bound some of the tougher problems into smaller issues and resolve those, such as in the area of predictive analytics for key metrics such as volumes and wait times for queues, by providing ranges that rather than individual metrics, but using other metrics such as medians and so on as guidance to help improve the accuracy of that prediction. So these things, broadly speaking, fall into various areas like in terms of the business value for these customers, being able to refocus their human resources in such a way that it results in return on investment and improves the outcome for the caller. For example, being able to predict the call queue wait time and being given the choice of when they would like to call back if the wait times are large. Shifting to much more proactive interactions by knowing what the caller might be interested in or calling about, by using knowledge graphs and tracking their propensities and so on. Maybe accelerated responsiveness through agent assistance and virtual agents, and thus reducing the time it takes to resolve issues. And also the key thing is to go across both UC and CC space by unlocking the untapped potential across the enterprise, allowing people to participate in a collaboration to help drive the multiple issue resolution in the very first call itself in the contact center.
Yeah, and you mentioned both the unified communications aspect and the contact center aspect. So effectively, it's about highlighting those key areas within each that, and effectively choosing a small part, a small process, or it might be a larger process effectively, but something that artificial intelligence can genuinely assist with to provide return on investment rather than looking at a technology for the sake of artificial intelligence.
That's right.
And another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I know it's something you guys at 8x8 think a lot about. We're effectively, and some of the examples you were providing there seem relatively complex, but we're effectively at a relatively early stage of the capabilities of artificial intelligence, aren't we? So how important is it for businesses to plan ahead, and how do you at 8x8 help businesses look at the potential future capabilities of artificial intelligence?
Great question. This is actually very important. And if you are looking to get into this space, either as a provider or as a consumer, this is the right time to invest in it. This is because it helps to drive the efficiency immediately by tackling the kinds of problems that I mentioned, and the ROI is real, which allows it to be sustainable. It also prepares the company to use this technology to be able to align its information infrastructure, be able to go from the smaller problems to the larger and more complex problems, align its people, its business processes, its data, all of these things. And it gets the enterprise valuable experience. And this experience that you get as an enterprise should not be underestimated, because it involves broader data sets that you are looking at. You're looking at the broader experience with algorithm choices and so on. And this also involves, as you go from these smaller problems to the bigger problems, in refining those algorithms and data in such a way that it fits the need of or the purpose of your organization, or the purpose of AI for your organization. So an example is, for example, when NASA sends deep space probes to various planetary bodies and so on, in addition to using the existing algorithms, they're also sponsoring research from time to time into other algorithms that have proven their mettle in other spheres, like it may be in stock markets, it may be in communications. For example, the use of properties like self-similarities and data as seen in fractals. So not just using the traditional or known algorithms, but enhancing them for your organization by even dipping into related algorithms that help you solve your specific problems and your purpose of AI in your enterprise. And it's also necessary for you to get into this space because folks that are vested in this now and have perfected the technology over, let's say, the next year or two, will be hard to catch up with. And this is relevant not just in the case of providers like Amazon or Google or IBM or 8x8 in the contact center and the UC space, but also for the consumers of these communication technologies where they can offer services that rely on AI for the benefit of their customers and be competitive in their own individual business spaces.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The point. So it's effectively business. You have to keep your mind open and the possibilities open, because effectively an algorithm that has been effective in another completely separate vertical might actually have some relevance in your industry in the future.
Yeah, and this is the time to get into it because the problems that you're tackling are small. The problems that you're tackling have immediate tangible benefits, and you can afford to make those bets on these kinds of research and come up with a foundation for your organization for the time to come.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the sort of pioneers in this space, and you mentioned Amazon and Google more generally, but obviously yourselves, companies like 8x8 in the communication space, in unified communications or contact center. As a business or an organization, if VJ, if I could put you in their shoes for a minute, how would you go about choosing a partner to help with artificial intelligence deployment? What would be the key things that you'd be looking for?
Yeah, so there are a number of companies doing great work in this space, some of them that I have mentioned, and they provide various services. But many times we find that those services by themselves are not enough to actually develop or deploy a mature solution. There is still the last mile that work that needs to be covered. So it's key to find the right partner that is investing in these technologies with an eye for the future. So, for example, let's ask the question about what we should be looking for in a partner that is providing both UCaaS and CCaaS, that is contact center as a service, is to actually help make your move into the cloud space and to be able to use these technologies, the ability to use a large amount of data, the algorithms, the computational power that is needed for AI to make that move to cloud risk-free. And what does that mean? It means that you want to have a partner that understands the need for a unified platform across UCaaS and CCaaS where the data can transfer easily and it's not siloed. It's not agnostic to communicate. It's agnostic to communication media where if you provide functionality in one space, let's say in the case of speech or chat, you want to be able to provide the same functionality with similar experience across all the different media, chat, email, voice, video, and so on. You also want to be able to maintain the information as an interaction goes from one medium to another. So let's say it starts from a browsing session to a chat, to a email, to a call, to a video meeting. There is information exchanged throughout this time between the caller and the callee. And a question might come up 2 or 3 legs down the road, which is dependent on something that was said 2 or 3 legs before. You want to be able to build those kinds of systems that can talk to each other and this information flow can be maintained. And lastly, but not least, and very important, is that last mile experience. That is a partner that understands and has been building products that plug the gaps between the services that are available today out there in the market from various vendors, and to be able to do fast deployments, to be able to do custom deployments that meet your needs, to actually make those APIs or solutions that are available out there fit to your company's purpose for AI. So yeah.
I was just going to say that the point about effectively the success of artificial intelligence deployment, it relies on the openness and that access to good data, doesn't it? Which is the point you were making. That's a critical factor here, that you can access data from each area for machine learning algorithms to learn and eventually benefit a business.
So data is key. that's very important, having a large amount of data, but also having the right kind of data. Data is just a start. So in addition to the data that a partner would have, that is someone who's providing you the collaboration and in the UC and the CC space, it's also important for them to have the expertise and experience in the data science side of things, with algorithms, with the right kind of data, data that should be usable for these technologies, and with the right kind of computational infrastructure already in place. In addition to that, they should also be thinking ahead in order to make their platform future-proof. That is a solution that has a leg for the future. So some of the things that I mentioned, like the ability to go across from UC to CC, the ability to go across from different media and be able to carry the conversation forward. So this is a journey that you would go through with your partner, and in these initial stages, you need to be ready to experiment and iterate quickly and learn fast, develop your organization skills along with your partner, and you can afford at this point to make mistakes, because if you make mistakes, you can iterate quickly and be able to learn from that and deploy the right kind of solutions and build it in the right way for the future.
Oh, well, it sounds really exciting. Some of the possibilities that are going to be enabled by artificial intelligence. Vijay, if some of the viewers want to find out more about what 8x8 are doing in this space, and I know you've got some great customer case studies and some of the examples you were mentioning earlier on, what would be the best way for them to find out more?
Well, they can directly reach out to me, or they can send an email to vccai@8x8.com. We, from time to time, have articles and blog posts where we talk about what we see the future looking like, what are the areas that companies in the space should be investing in. So please visit 8x8 website and look out for more of this kind of sessions and information.
Excellent. Well, Vijay, I realise we've touched on a very high level here, but for the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this webinar.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It was a pleasure.